The music stopped before her heart did. Amelia Sterling had dreamed of this moment since she was a little girl: white roses, crystal chandeliers, a string quartet playing softly beneath golden lights. The guests were seated, the cameras were ready, and she sat in her custom-designed wheelchair at the end of a long aisle lined with petals. But the groom was gone. Whispers rippled through the ballroom like cold wind. Her fiancé, Daniel, the charming tech investor who had promised her forever, had left through the side entrance 10 minutes before the ceremony. No note, no explanation, just an empty groom's room and a shattered illusion. Amelia felt the weight of 100 pitying stares press against her chest. She had survived a car accident 5 years earlier that left her paraplegic. She had rebuilt her life, grown her late father's real estate empire into a multi-million-dollar brand, and learned to smile through the quiet cruelty of society's lowered expectations. But this, being abandoned at her own wedding, cut deeper than any scar. The doors at the back of the hall creaked open. Everyone turned, expecting an apology, maybe a dramatic return. Instead, a man in a simple navy suit stepped inside, holding the small hand of a little girl with curly hair and bright eyes. It was Michael Rivera, the venue's maintenance supervisor. A widowed single father who fixed broken lights and carried heavy boxes without complaint. He had been repairing a faulty outlet near the stage earlier that morning. He had seen Daniel leave. He had seen Amelia's face crumble. And now, in a room filled with tuxedos and diamonds, he walked forward with steady steps. The guests murmured in confusion. Michael stopped a few feet from Amelia. His daughter, Sophia, let go of his hand and walked closer to the bride. "You look like a princess," Sophia whispered softly. Amelia's lips trembled into the faintest smile. Michael cleared his throat. His voice wasn't polished or rehearsed. It was simple, honest. "May I have this dance?" A gasp swept through the room. Amelia blinked, stunned. "I can't dance," she said quietly, glancing at her wheelchair. Michael smiled gently. "Then we'll find our own way." For a moment, she hesitated. Pride battled vulnerability. The humiliation was still raw, still burning. But something in his eyes, steady, warm, unafraid of her chair, made her nod. The quartet, unsure but hopeful, began to play again. Michael stepped behind her wheelchair and slowly guided her toward the center of the dance floor. Not as a caretaker, not as a spectacle, as a partner. He didn't spin her wildly or try to make the moment theatrical. He simply swayed with her, one hand resting lightly over hers, moving in rhythm to the music. Sophia clapped softly from the sidelines. The ballroom that had felt like a courtroom of judgment moments earlier became something else entirely. It became human. Tears streamed down Amelia's face, not from shame this time, but from relief. Someone saw her. Not her money. Not her disability. Her. The next morning, videos of the dance flooded social media. The headline read, "Abandoned Bride Finds Unexpected Hero." Reporters camped outside her estate. Talk shows requested interviews. Comment sections exploded with praise for the single dad who stepped in when a millionaire groom ran away. But Amelia wasn't interested in headlines. She asked Michael to meet her at a quiet cafe 3 days later. He arrived looking uncomfortable in his one good blazer. "I didn't mean to cause a scene," he began quickly. No one should be alone like that." "You didn't cause a scene," Amelia replied softly. "You saved me from one." Over coffee, she learned about his life. His wife had died from cancer 2 years earlier. Medical bills had drained his savings. He worked double shifts to keep Sophia in a good school. He had once dreamed of opening his own carpentry business but shelved the idea when survival became the priority. "And you?" he asked gently. Amelia hesitated. Few people ever asked her that without expecting a business update. "I built an empire," she said. "But I never learned how to tell if someone loved me, or my last name." Their worlds were different, painfully different. She owned penthouses, he rented a small 2-bedroom apartment. She negotiated multi-million-dollar contracts, he negotiated overtime hours. Yet their loneliness sounded exactly the same. They began meeting occasionally. Coffee turned into park walks with Sophia. Park walks turned into dinners at Amelia's estate, where Sophia raced down long hallways laughing. The media speculated wildly. Critics accused Michael of chasing wealth. Business partners warned Amelia to protect her assets. The challenges came quickly. Her board of directors expressed concerns about public perception. Investors hinted that her judgment might be emotionally compromised. Old friends whispered that she deserved someone of equal status. Michael faced his own battles. Coworkers joked that he'd hit the jackpot. Parents at Sophia's school questioned his intentions. Pride stung him more than poverty ever had. One evening, after a particularly brutal board meeting, Amelia wheeled herself onto her balcony overlooking the city lights. "I don't want you hurt because of me," she told Michael over the phone. "I've been hurt before," he replied quietly. "That's not what scares me. What scares you? Losing something real because other people don't understand it." The real test came when a tabloid published an article claiming Michael had secretly asked Amelia for money to start a business. It was a lie, but lies spread faster than truth. Michael showed up at her estate the next morning, eyes filled with determination. "I won't let them make you choose between your reputation and me," he said. "If walking away protects you, I will." Amelia felt a strange calm settle over her. For years, she had invested in buildings, companies, stocks. Now she was investing in courage. She called a press conference. Cameras flashed as she faced the crowd from her wheelchair. "Yes, I was left at my wedding," she began. "Yes, a man most of you overlooked asked me to dance. And yes, I am proud to know him." She paused. "What you call a scandal, I call integrity. The only man who stood by me that day was not the millionaire at the altar, but the father who taught his daughter kindness by example." The room fell silent. "And for the record," she added with a small smile, "if I ever invest in his carpentry business, it will be because I believe in his talent, not because I need rescuing." The applause was thunderous. Weeks later, Amelia visited the modest workshop Michael had rented using his own savings and a small business loan, no secret handouts. She had, however, connected him with a reputable bank manager and offered business advice. The sign outside read, "Rivera Custom Woodworks." Sophia held a paintbrush proudly. Michael walked over, wiping sawdust from his hands. "Care to dance?" he asked playfully. Amelia laughed, a sound that once felt impossible after the accident, after the abandonment. He locked her wheelchair gently in place and began swaying in the middle of the workshop, the scent of fresh wood in the air. Sophia joined them, standing on Michael's shoes. Life wasn't perfect. Amelia still faced inaccessible buildings and silent prejudice. Michael still worked long hours. They argued sometimes, about schedules, about public attention, about fear. But they faced it together. A year later, in a quiet garden ceremony with no press and no grand chandeliers, Amelia wore a simple ivory dress. There was no lavish aisle this time. Only close friends. And Sophia scattering petals with serious concentration. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, the only sound was wind through the trees. Michael leaned down, meeting Amelia's eyes at her level. "Shall we dance?" he whispered. This time, it wasn't a rescue. It was a promise. And as they swayed beneath open sky, Amelia realized something extraordinary. The greatest wealth in her life had never been her millions. It was the man who saw her strength instead of her chair. It was the little girl who saw a princess instead of a tragedy. Sometimes, the person who picks you up isn't the one standing at the altar. Sometimes, it's the one brave enough to step onto the floor when everyone else walks away. And sometimes, the most beautiful dances begin when the music stops.